Are your hazmat material technician, radioactive material specialist? Hazmat material technician, radioactive material specialist is a person involved with the radioactive material provided by the support of the hazmat material technician with the radiation detection instrument made with the control of the radiation exposure, conduct hazardous and assessment to active liaison between the hazmat material technician and incident involved with the radioactive material and the note by the National Fire Protection Association 472. Chapter 18, company the hazmat material technician with the radioactive material specialty is not involved and is not intended to mandate the hazmat material response team that must include the technique of the radioactive material, especially in order to perform operations of the incident. Technicians operating with their own beyond the training with the National Fire Protection Association 472, Chapter 7, and are able to intervene radioactive material incident. With the following additional comments, if they provide the jurisdiction hazard material response team what desire that someone and all other technicians must complete within depth and knowledge of the radioactive material. They have the material technician, radioactive material specialist should be trained to meet all the competency awareness of the core operation technical the technician level of competency of the chapter with this also should receive the training to meet the government occupational health and safety regulation, National Fire Protection Association 472M 2013. Edition, Chapter 18, competency of the hazard material technician, radioactive material specialty, radioactive material analysis incident. Understanding nuclear science radioactivity. The nuclear technique of the radioactive material specialty of the understanding of nuclear science and radioactivity, including using terms that describe the radiation radioactive material, completing the following task. Defining the following: ionization, nucleide, isotope excitation, bequerel, special activity, half-life, exposure, absorbed dose, BEM stream, fusion, critical, Curie. Those equivalent quality effects of retrogen, rad, gravity, REM, sovereign. Remember the basic principle of the mass energy equivalent concepts, and identify the neutron and proton reaction related with nuclear stability. Remember the following terms related with the nuclear stability, radioactive decay. Explain the character of the alpha, the beta, with the gamma, the neutron radiation, with the method that interact with the material. Explain the function of the radiation dispersal device. Explain the function of the radiation exposure device. Explain the function provided the nuclear device. Give the reference document of the computer program to identify the following, given the nuclide atomic number, atomic mass, stability, the half-life, type of the energy, radioactive emissions. Give the chart of the nuclide, trip the decay with the radioactive nuclide, identify the stable and with the product. Notify the example of the material of the best suit with the shoe of the following type of the radiation, alpha, beta, gamma, the neutron, and explain the concept of the linear energy traffic. Understand biological effect of the ionization radiation technician with the radioactive material specialty, shy with the understanding how the ionization radiation affect the human body, completing the following tasks, radiation. Define the law of the Burgeon trial, and describe the fact of the radiosensitive cells. Give a list of cells identified with the most of which are lethal radiosensitive. The following type of the terms given example is stasochastic effect, non-stochastic effect. Describe the LD5030 value for the human. Identify the possible somatic genetic effect of the acute and chronic exposure to the radiation. Explain the reclass syndrome, the 4-stage of the type of the acute radiation syndrome, and identify the exposure level of the system associated with each. Describe the risk of the radiation exposure for the developing embryo fetus. So describe the distinction between the terms and somatic and heritable with the applied with the biological effects. Radiation detector theory. The technique of the radioactive material specialty have the understanding of the radiation detector there in order to the select of the correct type of the radioactive survey instrument that has material weapon mass restriction anything involving radioactive material to complete with the following task. Give the graph of the gas implication, cover the identify with the region of the curve of the identify the characters detector operate with the refill region of the gas implication curve. Cover the method employed with the gas file the detector discriminating among the various type of the radiation energies. Explain how scintillant detector associated with the components operated with the detector with the radiation. Explain how the neutron detectors detect neutrons and provide electrical signal. Explain the fundamental mechanism isotope identification detectors operate advantage disadvantage of the different type of the system available. Radiation material transportation techniques for the radioactive material specialty try with the understanding how the radioactive material is transported, how to identify the material, the hazardous material, the weapon mass restriction, completing the following task. This applicable agency, how the regulation governs the transport of the radioactive material, then for the type of the package, the transport of radioactive material, live for the example of the material shipped in each for the type of the shipping package, then for the terminology acronyms associated with the shipping of the radioactive material, show for the method that can be used to determine the radionuclide concept of the packet, identify with the information contained in the shipping paper, the transportation radioactive material, radiation contamination survey to perform the radioactive material the packet with the save of the applicable limit. Describe the radiation contamination survey to perform the exclusive vehicle to say the applicable limit to by the proof that emplacement of the black card of the transport vehicle. Radioactive material planning, radioactive material 2 plan response external exposure control. Given the analysis of the incident involved with the radioactive material, determine the response with the operation need with the minimum of the external exposure of the radioactive material to complete with the following tasks. Calculate with the gamma exposure rate of the specific radionuclide, use the equation, use the computer program. Use the state time equivalent calculated with the individual remaining allowable dose equivalent state time. It is enough for the distance radiation source of the technician of the minimum of the personal external exposure. With the point source of the equation inverse square level the calculated exposure rate of the distance of the point source of the radiation. Define the unit density of thickness. Calculate shielding technique with thickness and exposure rate of the gamma and X-ray radiation. With the equation, with the computer program. Internal exposure control given the analysis of the incident involved with the radioactive material. Determine the response of the opposite need to minimize the internal exposure of the radioactive material completing with the following tasks. Determine the times. Determine the annual limit of the intake. Annual limit of the intake derived the air of the concentration derived. Determine the reference band. Describe the 4 to 3 factors that reveal the behavior of the radioactive material in the body. Explain 2 natural mechanisms of the radioactive quantity of the radionuclide of the body. Explain the relationship of physical biological effect of the half-life. Give physical biological half-life of the calculated effect of the half-life. Describe the net of the UV increase the eliminate rate of the radioactive material from the body. The radiation survey instrument. Give this as an alpha the incident involved in the radioactive material. Determine the connection. Correct instrument. UV the radiation examination monitoring completing the following tasks. Describe the following feature of the specification commonly UV the instrument. Describe the detector probe with available the operator adjustment control of the specific location. Describe the factor of the affect of the selection of portable radiation survey instrument. Identify the appropriate instrument with the external radiation survey. Identify the following feature with the specification exposure rate instrument. The type of the detector available for use. The detector shielding the window. The type of the radiation detector. Measure the gamma engineering response and characteristics. Marking of the detector effective instrument. Sign of the specific limitation characteristic limiting factor. List the factor of the selected and portable contamination monitoring instrument. Describe the following feature of the specification commonly use the count rate with the meter probe. The type of the detector available to use the detector shielding window. Type of radiation detected measure the gamma energy response characteristics, specific limitations and characteristics. Radiation material 3 planning response. Radiological incident with the given analysis incident that involved with the radioactive materials plan with the response with the implement over 2 with the response with the given radiological emergency competent for following tasks. Describe the general response with the responsibility special during the radiological incident. Describe the specialist response with the personal contamination. Describe the special response to obstacle the loss of dosimetry. Describe the special response to rapidly increase the unanticipated radiation level. Describe the specialist response to radioactive material spill. Describe the specialist response with the fire radiological air with the link involved with the radioactive material. Identify the available federal response and reason for the explain with the system that each of the group can provide. Contamination control with the given analysis incident involved with the radioactive material plan with the response with the implement with the oversee the contamination control with the technique to minimize the spread of the radiological contamination complete with the following tasks. Determine the terms of removal of the one-fake surface of contamination. State of the basic principle of contamination control. The list of example of implementing methods for the purpose of the protective clothing radiological contaminated areas. Describe the basic fact of determining protective clothing requirements of personal decontamination. Give the analysis of the incident involved with the radioactive material of the plan with the response with the implement overseeing the decontamination technique with equipment and personnel completing the following tasks. Describe how the personal protective equipment and operative tools must become contaminated with the radioactive material. State of the purpose of the radioactive material decontaminated. Describe the field of the decontamination technique to describe the factor determine the action to take with the decontamination of the personnel. Describe the method technique of performing the personnel decontamination. And that be a page is intentionally left blank, and then we're moving on to hazmat material incident response curriculum guidelines incident commander.